Hey Akhil, how are you,
Hey,
man?
hi. Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you speaking from?
So I'm speaking from my home. I live in Bangalore.
Okay. Are you a Bangalorean?
No. Originally a Malayali, born and raised in Oman. Came
Okay,
back to
okay.
India since for about a decade or more. So no, I think 2 decades. Shit. Okay.
And where in Kerala?
So originally Kannur, parents were from Kannur, but now they moved to Kochi. So I think now Kerala means Kochi.
So I'll just give you an intro of what we are trying to do. So we're trying to speak to new founders who are very early stage and not try to give them some sort of early visibility. Why we are doing this is because when I started my company, we really lacked visibility, and whenever we wanted some sort of PR outreach and things like that, a lot of stable founders told us that PR is a really good thing and you need to be out there and things like that. But we were not able to uh, kind of get get anything done in the PR front. So we think this could be, if this could add like 1% to what you are trying to do, then I think that would be really great. That's what we are trying to achieve here. Okay. So this is the first time I'm doing a podcast. How about you?
So, funnily enough, there was another podcast that I was invited to, but then something or the other happened and that didn't get released. So yeah,
Okay.
this and the funny thing is, it was on reverse. I think it was on Riverside. I'm not sure. Yeah, this one has this feature where it sort of downloads the video and then uploads it later, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the video is being saved on your local machine, and then
Yeah,
so we always get the
the best
best
quality.
quality. Right. It's good. It's cool, and it's pretty affordable too, by the way. So let's start. So Georgie has given me a very brief idea about what you do. How do you know Georgie, by the way? How are you
So
connected?
I think both of us frequented this board game host back in Kochi. So
Okay.
his name is Nadir. He runs this group called Lace Top Tabletoppers. So I think Georgie was looking for someone that hosts in Bangalore, and then Nadir gave him my name, and then that way we sort of connected. And I'm hosting at this Burger Man in Kamanalli that is
Yeah, I
run
know.
by his friend.
Right.
So like that we we know each other and stuff like that.
Right. So I'm not a board game fan. I know Georgie is. I am trying to understand what it is. So probably I would have played, Monopoly. I like Monopoly. Not even chess. I don't even play chess. So uh, let's see if I get interested, in board games after this session. All right. Okay. So let's start with like what you do, because I need to understand, what you actually do and things like that, because this is a entirely new space to me, and then go to your background and things like that. So
Right.
tell me, like, what is it
So
about?
yeah, so right now I'm running this community called Meeple Syrup.
Okay.
So I host board game days and board game nights in a couple of places around Bangalore. So right now I do like 3 sessions a week. So Wednesdays I host at home, which is a smaller setting, just like 10 people or something like that. On Fridays I host in Burgerman Kamanahali, which is Georgie's friend's place. And on Sundays, I sort of alternate between like two venues. Some Sundays I host in Koramangala. Like alternate Sundays I host in Koramangala, and alternate Sundays I host in a place in Whitefield. So like that I host different board game nights. Essentially, it's like a meetup, right? People register and join, and it's like a place where you can meet other people that have shared interests, a way to socialize outside of just going out to drink or just simply have food. And yeah, a place where you can, I think, yeah, it's a place where you can sort of meet people if you're not a very social person to begin with, and you still want to like meet people interesting and all of that. It's a great place to socialize because the primary focus is still to play games, but you can still meet people and talk to them. And yeah, it's socialized through play is how I try to sort of market it.
So what sort of board games are we talking about?
So I have a huge collection of board games. I mean, I wouldn't say huge because there are people that have games that, I mean, like collections that are 10 times my size. But I think to an average person, my collection might be a large collection. But yeah, I have a huge range of board games. It's hard to explain what it is to someone that is not familiar with board games But yeah, it's far removed from games like Monopoly, Uno, Snakes and Ladders, and games like that, right? Like, so in the community, we sort of have this sort of semi bifurcation. We call it classic board games and modern board games. So
Oh,
modern board games, I think it started out, or not started out, but like a gateway game that most people are familiar with is Catan. I'm not sure if you have heard of Catan, but a lot of people that are new to board games have heard of Catan. I think some popular games are like Catan, Secret Hitler. I think a lot of people have heard of Secret Hitler. So yeah, modern board games, there are a huge number of board games with different mechanics and like different play styles. What I can say is I'm sure there is one category of games that work with, like, in the sense, even if you're not into one type of board game, there is something there for you for sure. Like, because there is a huge range of board games, and yeah, it's hard to explain like what these are. Like, maybe you can put a montage of the different games that are that I play during the. It's hard to explain. There is this a huge variety. There are games that, for example, there are social deception games where it's a lot of talking. Like the Secret Hitler that I was talking about, right? In that, essentially, a group of people are fascists, while the main group is the what's the other liberals, and there is one secret fascist who's Hitler, and the objective is the fascists are trying to sort of get like the fascist policies enacted, while the liberals are trying to enact the liberal policies, and everyone is the fascists are trying to secretly fool the liberal players, saying that, hey, I am liberal, add me to the, like, as the president or the chancellor, and I will enact the liberal policy, but they're secretly trying to enact the fascist policy. It's called social deception because it's a social game where you're talking and trying to figure out what the intentions are of different players, and the deception comes in where the evil players are sort of deceiving the others and trying to get things done. So that's
so even
those
this
are
game has a board?
so some of these social deception games, they don't really have, they might have some amount of board presence, but they are not predominantly a board game, but they still come under the branch of board. Like, it's like that Kleenex thing, right? Not exactly, but it's not Kleenex, it's actually tissue paper, or it's not Vaseline, it's actually petrol and jelly.
Right.
People just consider Vaseline as everything. So similarly, board game just encompasses everything, even though the actual term is tabletop gaming. Yeah, this is called social deception. And then, yeah, there are so many different games. Like, I think I can go on for hours just tell you like what all different games are there, right? So,
So how many board games do you have?
I think right now I've reached probably 211. At least I have a number with me. Wait, let me see if I can get it.
You're saying you have bought 211 board games.
Yep, I have. So right now I have 213 board games. But the thing is,
Interesting.
213 is an impressive number for sure. But again, like I said earlier, there are people that have thousands of board games, like legit. So when you compare with that, mine is just a small collection. But of that also, I think a lot of them are smaller, like maybe like Uno size boxes games, right? So probably like 10% of that is that kind of board games. Huh.
So have you been acquiring these board games like for a quite long time or like?
I think I started around 2020. But no, it is not because of the pandemic that I became a board gamer. It was just a coincidence that my first set of board games that added into the collection came uh, during, and the pandemic also started at the same time. But yeah, I started around 2020 and slowly accumulated these.
So how does this arrangement work? Like when you're hosting a board game, like do you have you know had you previously decided what game you're going to play, or does the participants or the guests are the ones who decide on what game is going to be played? Like how is
Right.
it?
So initially, I was sort of winging it myself.
Okay.
So if you want to say, so like I started about 2 years back. And when I started, I was only hosting at home. So I think I hosted just one day a week, which was a Sunday or a Saturday, I think. And it was mostly at home. So my entire collection was available. And I sort of get the general vibe of the people that are joining. And
Hmm.
I decide what kind of games to play. Most people want to play some heavy strategy game, then I will probably pick heavy strategy games. If people are just want to have a chill time, then I get some chill games. So it all depends on the vibe. And because I had my entire collection, I had nothing to worry. Then after the first year, I started to venture out and like go out to cafes and host a larger crowd. So that became more tricky because I couldn't get my entire collection. I had like
Hmm.
this huge bag that I fill the games and I take. So I had to sort of decide what games that I get. Again, in that, I think for that, the rest of the year, I was sort of winging it. I will sort of get a good mix of everything. So it would, yeah, a good mix of it. Some would be party games, maybe a social deception game, a few light strategy, then maybe one or two max heavy strategy games. Yeah, a different. So it was not like you ask me what to get. I mean, if you tell me that you want something specific, I'll definitely add it. But otherwise, most of the people just join and they are
Okay.
mostly new anyway, so they will just
Okay.
play whatever. Recently, I've started the system where like you can register over a Google form that I keep. In that, I have this sort of polling system that tells me if you are planning to play a party game or a light game or a heavy game. So it gives me an idea before the day of what kind of mix of games that I need to bring. And people now there is more clarity on what people like. People have been playing over the last 1 or 2 years and they know what games they like, what they don't like. So they have started to give me recommendations also, hey, bring this or bring that. And there are some games that are mainstays. Like there's a game called Monikers, there's a game called Landmarks. People like always want me to bring that. So it's growing. The community is also growing. But I can't even say the community is growing. It's not like I started this or anything like that. Board gaming as a hobby, even though it's niche, it's been going on for a while. Like there are players in the space here that have been active for almost a decade ish, right? Or maybe at least 5, 6 years, right? So the community as a whole is growing and people are getting exposed to board games more and more. It's still niche, but it's coming out of the niche is what I'm thinking because a lot of people are starting to discover the hobby.
So during a session, is it only one game that is happening? Because I am thinking that a game might have a maximum player capacity. So say if there are 15 people in a session, what is the average size of members in a session?
So lately, I've been maxing out. So in the sense, so I host in these places that I mentioned, right? And the spaces are small because the spaces are small. So I can only accommodate around 25-ish people in the spaces. So yeah, that is recently I've been able to max out. Initially, it used to be like 10, 15, then it was 15, 20, and now I'm able to get like 25 odd people on average for each of the sessions. So that's working out well. And yeah, so in these sessions, again, it's a wide range of types of people, right? Some people want to play party games, some people want to play social deception games, some people want to play like heavy strategy games. So each of these games have their own type of player counts. Like a heavy strategy game might at max be like 3 to 4 people, while a social deception game would minimum need 5, 6 people to play and can go over 10 people. And party games generally are better at 8 plus people, right? So depending on the game, the player count also sort of changes.
So I'm assuming that at any given session, there will be more than one game being played.
Oh,
Is
of
it?
course.
Okay.
You can't play. I mean, there are games that can go up to 20 plus people, but no, it's usually 4, 5 games tabled, and it's not just those 4, 5 games for the entire session. You swap out games, you play a game for maybe an hour, half an hour, if it's a small game, or you play for a game for like 3, 4 hours, and then you change to the next game. Generally, you don't repeat game unless you're really having fun with a short game. Like usually, if it's a 1 plus hour long game, you generally don't repeat it. You might play something else. But yeah, if it's like half an hour, you might play a couple of sessions of that as well. So yeah, it's totally dependent on the vibe.
So how long are these sessions? Like some board games can go for hours, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are games. There's a game called Twilight Imperium. The minimum play time for that is 8 hours.
Okay.
But I haven't played it. I don't have that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, the sessions that I play, I mean, I host. Again, I don't think I've put out a game or I've tabled a game that took the entire session. But yeah, it's usually 3 to 10:30 p.m. types, like
Okay.
for a Sunday afternoon,
8 to 10:30.
3 p.m. to 10:30 on a Sunday. But yeah, if it's a weekday, then it's less. So maybe we start at 6 or 7 and then we play till like 11.
So tell me, how did you build this community? How did you make yourself aware to the people who are like-minded? Things like that.
So there have been few other board game hosts like in Bangalore and in other parts of India as well, right? So I've gone to a few of these places, and the thing is, I was very lazy and I like to collect. So once I started collecting, the collection itself was satisfactory. So even though I wasn't playing as much, and I played a little bit with my brother and other friends I would drag into these game nights, I was able to play. But I still like to collect. My collection grew, I think, by 2023 is when I started hosting 2 years back. My collection was 150 plus, and it was also collecting dust, right? Because I was not playing them. It was just in the shelves and I was not able to play it. So in the back of my mind, I did want to do this eventually. I did want to start hosting, but I just kept delaying it because I wasn't sure, like, would I be able to, pull people, because there are, like I said, there are other board game hosts and cafes that are there, and they're already getting like numbers that I still haven't achieved yet, right? And this was back then. So I was not very confident, but I was like, it's okay. I'll just start. I created a group. I started posting. Maybe I started posting about like
Created a
events
group on
that
like WhatsApp,
on Instagram.
Instagram.
Instagram, and I was putting like posts about just game nights with my friends and stuff like that initially. Then I slowly started to put it out there. If you're interested in joining, you can join, and it was free. So I think the first 6 odd months it was free. You can just join, and I was keeping it free only. But then people were like, "You can charge, like it's okay." And then I started to slowly, charge like a nominal fee, and then it sort of grew and grew and grew, and then the first year passed, and yeah, that's sort of how the whole thing started. Basically, I was bored. I was too lazy to get out, so I was bringing people to my house to play. And
And what are the charges like if I want to be a part of the session? How is it?
huh. So right now, if it's a weekday session, it's typically like in the 200 to 250 bucks per person types, and on
For how many
Sundays,
hours?
so if you're starting around 6 to 7 p.m. till like 10:30 to 11, so that's around 4-ish hours, 4-5 hours of game time. And then on weekends, we play typically from 3 to 10:30 as well. So that's again like 3 to 10:30, it's 7+ hours of game.
So, Georgie was telling me that you have some future plans. Tell me more about it.
So right now I'm sort of hosting at different cafes. I basically bring the games and I put it out in cafes, and the crowd is
Does
smaller as
cafe
well.
owners pay you something for this?
Oh, no, no, no. Usually they ask us to pay them because we are occupying their space. But some cafes that generally don't see a lot of footfall by themselves, maybe they are predominantly online, or yeah, they generally don't see a lot of walk-ins. They are okay with people occupying their space because it's, even though it's maybe, so the problem is because board gaming is a hobby and every week on week people want to play, it becomes very expensive if you're going to keep ordering food, and you'll be occupying that space for 5+ hours, right? So you're generally not going to order a whole lot. You'll still order, but not a whole lot, right? So for cafe owners and all, it's 5 hours of lost revenue for them, right? So they generally don't like a lot of board gamers coming and occupying their space. But if it's a place where you generally don't see a lot of walk-ins, they're happy to give us the space. Maybe they might lose 1 or 2 customers, which they're fine with because it's a regular event and they're happy to keep it, right? So those are the kind of cafe owners that I prefer, because then there is no upfront fees, there is no cover charge that I have to carry over to the customers or the folks that join the events, right? So it gets better for everyone.
So
It's
I
like a
have a
win-win for both cafes and us.
so I have a friend who runs a cafe. It's a very popular cafe in Bangalore, Kurmangla, and it's quite busy as well. But one day when I was visiting him, I asked him, why are you not like offering a Wi-Fi here, so that people can actually look up, open up their laptop and do some work. So the straightaway answer is that they are deliberately not
Yeah.
offering Wi-Fi, because if they offer Wi-Fi, the seat is going to be occupied for a longer period. They just want to keep the seats to be rotated.
Right, right, right. So yeah, I mean, some cafes, their idea is get you to sit, eat, and then leave as soon as you can.
Right.
While the other more premium places, they might be like you sit and chill as long as you want, because it's already premium. You're not going to see a lot of footfall,
Correct.
traffic, and like a filled out space unless it's like peak hours. But yeah, you're fine with that, I think.
Right. Yeah. So coming back to your future plans.
Yeah, so I want to, so now that I'm hosting outside, I want to properly put up like a cafe by myself, like off my own, right? So I want to start a cafe, board gaming cafe, where uh, it's essentially the same thing that I do outside with with other cafes, but it's my own. All the collection, the collection is in a static space. I
Right.
don't have to
Right.
keep carrying it around, and yeah, it's yeah, and yeah, I want to do other events as well. Maybe like different days could have different events. Maybe so. There's another game called BOTC. A lot of people have been asking, like maybe on a Monday or a Tuesday, I can have BOTC, while on other days I can have maybe a day dedicated to D&D and things like that, right? So I want to expand this to not just me hosting 3 times a week kind of thing, right? Where I have to take these games and go out somewhere else and
But does no, even if it is a cafe or even if you are hosting, does this have traffic or sessions during the weekdays in the morning hours, or is it just
morning hours are generally not going to be a whole lot. There might be a few, like maybe kids who bunk school
okay?
or, those kinds of
Okay.
things. But yeah, generally board gaming, I don't think morning is the best hours. But I think there are some people who are probably jobless, or maybe they work from home and they can work from there, but they can also play and chill a little bit.
Okay.
Morning, I have not hosted on the morning, so I don't know what the crowd is. But I know a few cafes, board gaming cafes as well, and from what I've heard, they generally like, yeah, the crowd is going to be for sure lesser. It usually starts post work hours, maybe post 6 o'clock and all is when the crowd begins. But before that, it's yeah, these kids might bunk school, or maybe adults might bunk work and come and play, or just take a sick day, and those kinds of situations, or they just work at a cafe.
So are there any board game cafes in Bangalore right now?
There are quite a few. There's like Now Boarding Cafe. There is Board for Board. There are quite a few to name, and I think like I don't know if it is there is that sort of fallacy. Like there's a thing that happens, right, when you start knowing about it,
Yeah,
you get exposed to
the
it
red
more and
flag
more.
theory.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I don't know if it's that, but or maybe board gaming has picked up and it's coming out of that niche. There are quite a few cafes that I think is popping up. Like I think in the last year itself, I've heard 2 to 3 board gaming cafes that have popped
Okay.
up.
Okay.
But yeah, there are quite a few board gaming cafes, and I think board game in Bangalore, the cafe culture has not like it's still in its infancy. I think there's only a few people. Like I know other cities in India, like Chennai and all, has a ton of board gaming cafes, is what I've heard. Yeah.
So how does these cafes like predominantly operate? Like, do they charge separately for the board game? Plus, is it the food, or how is it?
So yeah, I think typically there is like an hourly rate for the
Okay.
board games that you play, and
Okay.
then you have extra for the a la carte food that you get, right? So yeah, it's in that sort of.
So all the board game cafes operate this way.
I think similar. Like I'm not sure how every board game cafe, like what exactly their policies are, but the ones that I know of, it's usually like an hourly rate for the games. And some of these might have like a premium board gaming table that's like felt like that, the pool table material is there, right? So that velvet material with like really fancy board spaces. Yeah, so they might have those kinds of tables as well. So you can pay extra to play on those more premium space. It's like a gaming chair for video gamers. There's board gaming tables for board gamers. So yeah, they
I
might
think
charge
it
extra for that.
really is an interesting concept, because for restaurants, if it's Starbucks, I go there, order a coffee, and I know a lot of people like who may just order coffee and sit there and work for like 3 hours, okay? And maybe it's hardly 500 to 600 bucks for 3 hours, the only revenue that they're going to get. But this concept, what I think interesting is that you are able to charge per hour also, right? Apart from the food, right? So it's a dual revenue, but the seat turnover might be considerably less.
Yeah, that is the reason why you have to have that extra layer
Correct,
of
correct, correct,
per
correct.
hour entry.
Right, right. I think it's brilliant, yeah. And like, have you identified a space in Bangalore, or like how long are you going to take to execute this?
So I am still in the infancy of planning. So right now I'm looking at potential investors who probably want to join in this venture. And then the areas I'm looking at also are the more like prime areas like Indiranagar, Koromangala, Whitefield, those kinds of spaces, and the rents there are quite expensive. So I'm still figuring all of this out.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm still figuring all of this out.
So Maple Syrup is going to be the name.
I think so. So there are two ways I can go more about this. If it's like a pure board gaming cafe, it'll be probably still called Meeple Syrup.
Okay. Why Maple Syrup?
So Meeple is a board gaming term. So
Is it? Okay.
yeah, so Meeple is called, it's like short for my people. So essentially in board games, there are games called worker placement. So many board games that use like pieces to mark your actions.
Okay.
So there is this very popular I'll just give me a second. I think I can just get it out for you. This is the original maple. This piece is very common, or at least very identifiable as a board game piece, just like a dice.
Hmm.
You would identify as a board game. This is also a
Right.
very identifiable piece for like people, especially people in the hobby. This is a very identifiable piece. So this is called a maple. But any wooden piece or any other piece that you used to play in board games that
Is
are
it
like
because it looks like a maple tree or like
it no
what
no
is it?
no it's a meeple, not a maple. So
Okay.
meeple is my people.
Okay. So
So you have
how's it spelled?
Meeple.
Okay, Meeple.
So
Okay.
you have these. So basically, you'll have a bunch of these with you while you play, and
Okay.
because it's that's why it's called my people, because it's your people that you're playing with,
Okay.
right? In the board games, it's like
Right. 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 Right.
so. My meeple is short for my people.
Okay. And the second word is
So that is a play on words. So
okay.
because the board game term is meeple,
Okay.
and it sounds very similar to maple,
All right.
maple
All right.
syrup is
All
just a
right.
play on words.
All right. All right. That's interesting. Okay. You did not tell me what your background is and before 2020, where you
Yeah.
discovered or you went behind your calling. So what was basically
So before that, I was in tech. I was just give me
tech
1 second. Can we pause?
got disconnected?
Disconnected.
No, 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 I mean, what were we between?
Yeah. What were we between? You were telling me. You were asking about my work.
It was before 2020.
Okay. So before that, I was in tech. I was working for a very small company called Byju's.
Small company called, yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So
small.
sadly, yeah. But yeah, I was working there for a good 8, almost 8 years. Then I actually dropped and I just wanted to take a break. So I think yeah, for the last couple of, I think a year or so, I'm now taking a break. So I think I started this while I was still working there. So because I was only doing this on Sundays, right? So it was fine for me.
So it was a side hustle.
It was, I mean, it
Right.
still is a side hustle. I don't think
Okay.
I'm making a living out of this right now. So it's a side hustle while I'm taking my break, right? While I'm also trying to figure out how to,
Take it forward.
take it forward. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's what I was doing. So I was in the tech field. I was working as a software lead engineer with Byju's. Yeah, so that's the background that I have.
So was Byju's your first company or
Byju's was actually my third company. So I started working in Hyderabad in actually a small company. It was called Blue Giant Interactive. It was a small game development studio that was in Hyderabad, but they had some financial troubles. They expected like a big sort of project to come in and a big inflow of cash, but I think that project failed. I mean, not failed. That contract didn't go through or whatever. That agreement didn't go through. So they still ended up hiring a lot of people, but that project also didn't come in, and they had a lot of issues. And I had to. I think I worked there for like 3 months, and then I moved to Bangalore. I was working in this company called Who That. I was there for about 3 years. The funny thing is, I was there for 3 years. I left that job and I came to Byju's. 5 6 months later, Byju's acquired Who
oh
That
oh oh
into this thing. So technically, my boss and all came and worked with me again. So that was a funny story. But yeah, so yeah, technically 3 companies I worked with.
where did you do your engineering and graduation?
I studied in VIT, Vellore. So over there I did my PhD.
So what is your favorite board game?
Ayo, that is a hard question to answer. It's one of the so there are many people who have like their favorite.
Before that, have you played board games which are not part of your collection as well?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely go out and meet other people, and they bring their board games, and we play. Before I started collecting, also I was going out to these meetups, and then I was playing as well, right? But yeah, there are people who have like their hardcore board game, the ones that they will always play. But for me, I don't know, I like the variety. It's there is a board game that I might prefer for the vibe or the players that I have or the mechanic that I want to, sort of play. But I don't think there is a one board game that, oh, I will always pick this out of the entire pool. Mostly I feel bad for the other board games. So yeah, I don't have one board game, but I have a few, like maybe a top 10, maybe. No, not even top 10, maybe a top 15 board games that I enjoy. Yeah, I don't really have one game that I will always pick. There are a few.
And during these sessions, do you take part in one of the games or you orchestrate it?
Actually, I'll just go back to the previous. I don't have one board game, but I can say there are mechanics that I really enjoy. Like one of
Okay.
the mechanics that I really enjoy is called tile placement, which is
Okay.
basically like you have these Tetris pieces,
Like a
cardboard Tetris,
scramble?
not Scrabble. Scrabble is squares.
Okay.
Tetris pieces, Tetris,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
game, video
Yes,
game
yes,
Tetris.
yes,
So in,
yes.
in Tetris, you have these cardboard shapes. Similarly, there are games that use these kind of cardboard shapes, maybe maybe exactly like Tetris or maybe similar but different. Tile laying games are games where you have these sort of shapes and you're supposed to get the right shapes and place. It's like a little bit of puzzle, a little bit of like
Okay.
building out your own thing. So
Okay.
I like tile laying a lot. Tile laying is one of the mechanics. So I think I have a lot of games that have
So
tile laying.
Jenga also becomes a part of tile laying
Oh,
games
no, no, no.
here.
Jenga is not a tiling. Jenga is called a dexterity game. So in Jenga, because it's all about trying to make sure that everything is balanced, your hands should not be shaking. So it's all about dexterity.
So what are
So
these categories? Tell me more.
yeah, so dexterity games are games where, like, for example, like you said, Jenga. Jenga is like a tower where you're supposed to, without getting the other pieces to fall, you're supposed to get one piece out, right? So it's about finesse. It's making sure that your hands are not shaking. You're pushing the right at the right angle. It's called dexterity because I don't know the definition of dexterity. I just know what it means. But yeah, dexterity is all about that finesse of how your hand moves and all of that, like how elegantly you can take the pieces off or put the pieces in. So dexterity games are all about that, like with your dexterity skills, like your hands and everything. So that is one. Tiling is something that I mentioned. Another really fun board game mechanic is called worker placement, where remember the meeples that I showed you, right? So you'll have a bunch of these pieces, and every turn you're supposed to use that piece and take an action. So there will be a board. On the board, you might have different places that your worker can go to and take an action. And the beauty is, once you go to a place, another player may not be able to access that space. So there's a lot of times where you will take an action, or someone else might take an action and block off a space that was really useful to you, and you were like waiting to get to place there. So worker placement is another board game mechanic. And yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so many board games and so many board game mechanics to go with it as well. So hard to cover everything.
I was thinking we spoke about adults, but are kids also invited to these sessions? Like, or is there separate session for kids? How is it?
So I don't host a separate session for kids or anything like that. And kids are invited, and I never say no to kids. But generally, my meetup is catered to that adult crowd of like maybe mid 20s to mid 30s. But again, late early 20s. I've seen there are times where I've seen people that they're in their 40s and 50s and they have fun. There's no issues with that. Little kids, I am not catered to handle little kids, so I
You're
generally
not
don't.
tuned to handle kids.
I'm not tuned to handle little kids, so I generally don't like advertise as someone that openly welcomes. I'm fine. I mean, if you're bringing your kid and they're okay with playing, I'm totally cool with that. I will never say no or be against it. But yeah, I don't openly call out to kids and like ask them to come and play because it's hard for me to handle kids. Yeah.
Have you been invited? I'm just exploring if there is any opportunity in this side. Have you been invited to any other event to host a board game, like say for a social event or for a corporate party to host a
I
session,
again,
something like
so
that?
for those, it is some you need someone to market that, and you need someone to go and talk to people. So I've been able to do it a couple of times. I haven't done it a lot. I think maybe 2 to 3 times. I think I've done these kind of sort of exclusive events
Okay.
or closed events. I think I'm not sure if I've done two or one. I've done at least one corporate event that I remember. I'm not sure if I've done two. And then one or two other sort of private parties that I've hosted. But yeah, it's for this you need to like actually go out and talk to people, and I'm really bad at that.
Right,
So
right.
at this point, I've not really done that a lot, but I would definitely want to if people reach out to me.
So we have these family gatherings, like, I have quite a lot of number of cousins. I think it's probably more than 25, somewhere near 30 cousins. So every year we take up a homestay or a small private villa resort or something, and we stay overnight and
Right, right.
chill. So do you think this model is something where we could give you a call and
For sure, but I would recommend on top of that would be so we also give board games for rent. So I have partnered with this other sort of like you could say another company. It's actually a friend. It's called her board game company is called Dicey Discovery. So she started renting out her board games, and she slowly onboarded other people who would also want to rent their board games onto her platform. So I rent through her platform called Dicey Discovery.
and like when you rent it out, does it come back in one piece? Like,
That is always the worry. So the thing is, because there are so there are many categories of these board games. Some are very light, some are very heavy. If it is very heavy or very what do you say expensive, I generally don't rent it out willy-nilly. I make sure that this person has already rented a couple of times, and I make sure that they
okay,
are good and they are safe and stuff like that. So even then, I'm not very confident. Like the original person, Lakshmi is her name, the one who started Dicey Discovery, she used to give out her games without any issue. I think.
so we were talking about renting it out.
So that my friend who started Dicey Discovery, Lakshmi, she used to give out her expensive games and all, and she was very trusty. But I still don't rent out the most expensive games unless I know them very personally and they've come to these meetups. Then I'm fine, but I don't put it out on the platform. I don't put it out openly. But yeah, it's the small games. Even if a component gets missing, one or two, like if it's critical, then it becomes very hard. Like if like a critical card is missing or something. But sometimes, yeah. So for now, luckily, I've not really lost anything.
Okay.
There was once a scare with my friend where an entire board game went missing. She lost track of it or who took it and everything, and but eventually she got it back. So that scare was gone. That's always the scare whether we get the games back completely, especially because a board game it's hard to even figure out where if everything is there or not because there are like
Correct,
hundreds
correct,
of
correct.
components in a board game, so it becomes really hard to figure.
And so is this an app or something where you list it and
Yeah, so there is this. So Swiggy Mini was the platform that we were using. I think
okay,
Swiggy Mini
yes,
recently got
wound
disabled or
up. Yeah.
they're bringing it down. So she's trying to figure out another alternate. I think Amazon has something similar, so she's trying to figure out how to switch to
Okay.
that. But yeah,
And
that
you
I
send
mean,
it by Dunzo or something like that.
Porter. Dunzo is also gone, so now
Yeah.
it's Porter.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Fair enough. And one last thing I wanted to ask is, how big is the community right now?
So active members, say at least the people who join, I think there are definitely like I'm getting I so basically on average I'm getting like 20 plus people. It's a decent community. I'm happy with that. But yeah, like there is on top of that, I have like so recently I've started this sort of social group as well underneath my community. So that is also quite active nowadays
So
with a
it's
lot of
all on
people.
Instagram.
The active community is on WhatsApp, right? Because in Instagram you can't really like run a community. I can just post stuff, right? So on WhatsApp there are these subgroups and there's a social group which is now getting active. There is another group where you don't come online and play. I mean, you don't come to the offline cafes and play, but you play online, right? So there people, collaborate and figure out and then they play online. So there is this platform called Board Game Arena. And there are multiple other platforms where you can play board games online, right? They sort of simulate popular board games
Got it.
on an online platform and you can play online. So that works. And yeah,
Is it
it's
as
pretty active.
interesting as doing it in person? I don't think so.
So it depends. It depends on what you're looking for. See, there are two things in board games, right? One is the tactile nature of it, like the pieces, playing with it, and the physicality of it, like talking to people that are right next to you. And then second is the competitiveness and the challenge of or the puzzle of solving the game and everything like that. So for folks who want that, they are completely fine playing it online because it's just like, playing any game online, right? People play chess online. right?
Right.
Because it's not about the social factor at that point. It's like, oh, I beat you, right? Or I'm smart enough to beat you, right? So for people that like that challenge, online play is also a lot of fun. But yeah, obviously, nothing beats coming into a board game meetup in person and actually playing the games and actually feeling the components in your hands.
Where and when are you hosting this next?
So I'm actually hosting tomorrow at Nizza Pizza. I'll also be doing my first one-shot Dungeons and Dragons session with a couple of new players.
Yes, I
So
know
that's
Dungeons
happening
and
tomorrow.
Dragons, the one in Big Bang Theory, right?
Yeah, Big Bang Theory, Stranger Things. So
Yeah.
all of that made Dungeons and Dragons very popular now. So yeah, so tomorrow I'm hosting that, and I
Okay.
I just realized that I've overbooked for tomorrow. I think the capacity there is around 25 people, and I think I've already hit 30, 28 to 30. So I'm worried like how to handle the crowd now tomorrow, and I don't figure out.
So
So
25 is
yeah,
the
that's
maximum brand?
no, no. That place is slightly more limited. It's more close. 25 is decent. More than that becomes very hectic. If there's another place in Whitefield, which is Third Wave, which I host alternates. There, the space is bigger. So even if I overshoot or overbook, it's fine. There's enough space. Here, it's a little tricky because the
Hmm.
capacity max out at around 25. So it becomes tricky.
So how many people can actually play Dungeons and Dragons? Just out of curiosity.
Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, any number of people can play, but it
Okay.
becomes too hectic or too
Long.
un not yeah, long and unmanageable, you could say. But a good number would be, I think, 4 to 5. That is a manageable number and a fun this thing. But tomorrow I'm playing with 6, so we'll see how that goes.
So how does new people find you? Like, is it through purely word of mouth or do you have something
So
else?
there is word of mouth as well, and for sure word of mouth is there. And then I also put out these Instagram ads
Okay.
marketing
Oh, you do that?
huh. So I
Okay.
think from there also I'm getting a decent influx of people that are showing interest. Like I think yeah, there are like of maybe the 100 people that reach out asking what this is, at least 50% comes for at least one of the events,
Okay.
and maybe 50% of that stays and becomes like regular folks as well. So yeah, it's slowly picking up. I need to start figuring out how to, maybe get bigger venues or get my own cafe set up where I can not worry about the size and everything.
So if it is a cafe setup, like what would be its capacity?
That also I need to figure. I'm thinking maybe in the uh, 40 plus range is what I'm trying to figure. 40 to 50. I don't know if that is too ambitious. Yeah, that's what I want to try and see. But yeah, problem
Single-handedly,
is
like
Bangalore and the rent. That is the main issue right now.
single-handedly, like how big a crowd can you handle?
So, single-handedly, I would say 20-25 is the limit. Even that is also too much for one person to handle. But the good thing about this is the community. It's once there are a few people who it's all community driven at the end of the
Right,
day
right.
because
They help each other.
they help each other. Like even if I'm not there, maybe someone else will pick a game and they will teach. Otherwise, it will not work. I mean, but yeah, you can always have helpers to help out with games like these board game cafes. They usually have one or two or more people that are part of the staff that runs the day to day, but they also know a lot of the board games and they help teach the board games. So you need something like that set up. Otherwise, yeah, one person cannot teach everything.
And even in Kochi market, is it the same prices like for board game sessions?
Kochi, I don't think so. I think Kochi, I'm not sure what Nadir charges nowadays for late top tabletoppers, but I don't think it's as expensive as here because, yeah, Kochi, I think the rents and all are slightly cheaper. The cafes are also slightly open and everything. So I think, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the prices. I've been to Nadir's place. I mean, I've been to late top tabletoppers a couple of times, but I don't recall how much I paid. It's been a while since I went to Kochi also and played. I recently went and played, but I think it was an open session. He didn't charge me anything that day.
So Georgie often talks to me about board games, but I've never felt like attending one or no, felt inspired, Georgie. But this time, I think I will talk to him and
Are you a social person?
I am not.
So do you like puzzles and other kinds of things?
Yes, I do.
Then I would say you can definitely try out games that cater to that sort of
Okay.
puzzly nature of things. If you like you like logic puzzles, or if you are slightly competitive, see, there are many games. Like I said, try a few different types of games. There's definitely one thing that you will always catch on. Like there's always
Okay.
one type of game for everyone, is what I feel like. It's a matter of, it's like finding the right therapist. The first therapist you might not like, but then if you go on like and talk to more and more different people, there's someone who's definitely right for you. Similarly, if you explore the hobby, there's definitely something that is right for you.
I will definitely explore this. So thank you for joining us with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, and all the best for all that you're doing. All the best for the cafe as well.
Awesome. Thank you.